Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Prism Podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Barbara Schreihans. She is the CEO and founder of Your Tax Coach, the creator of the Write Off Your Life course, and the voice behind the new podcast, Life Changing Money. And she is a kick-ass tax strategist. She's a business coach and all around just a master when it comes to everything wealth and finances. So this episode I kind of went into just like straight on questions with her. I was just like, I have a lot of questions about taxes, about different nuances, about write-offs, about all the different things, budgeting. So I'm really, really excited for you guys to tune into this episode and learn from truly the best. If you like this episode and you want to work with Barbara, all the links are going to be dropped below. They're all going to be in the description box. And I highly, highly, highly recommend hiring her as your accountant if you're looking for someone, if you're looking for a change, or you're looking for your first accountant. I think she's such an amazing person to be working with. She provides so much value. Make sure to go find her on Instagram. She posts the greatest content. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you guys to Barbara Schreihans.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. And today we have a very special guest. We have Barbara Schreihans here with me. And you are Your Tax Coach is your Instagram handle, which I love so much. And I followed you for so long. I love your content. And like every single time that I see your content, I like get out my notebook and like take notes or I save your posts. Like you have such shareable and savable content and the whole thing. And I love what you stand for and all the tax tips and the financial tips. So I'm really pumped to have you on here just to educate everyone who's in entrepreneurship and all the things today. So what I would love to hear from you first is, how did you get started in all of this? Because I know you weren't always like financial guru. So can you share your story of how you got started with everyone?
For sure. So in college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I think as most people are, I had 5 different majors and I ended up getting pregnant my junior year of college. And that was really like the moment where I was like, well, crap, like, what am I going to do now? And so I went to my career counselor and I was like, what major do I need to major in that, like, on graduation day, 100% chance I'm going to have a job? Cause like I'm having a baby. I need to take care of this baby. And they were like, accounting. And I was kind of like, accounting, like that sounds boring. And they're like, well, it's accounting. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll try it. And so I switched my major. I started taking all the accounting classes and just started doing internships so I did it after junior year, senior year. And then I ended up getting my master's in taxation because I loved it.
Wow.
And then just started my career in public accounting. So I did like the whole corporate ladder thing for 10 years and, realized quickly it really wasn't for me, like even the first year, but I stuck it out for like 10 years because that's what they teach us, right? They're like, do this for 2 years and then you'll be a senior accountant and then you'll be a director and then whatever. And, but everywhere I worked, I was like, we're not actually helping anyone with taxes. Like all we're doing is filing forms and it's boring. So then Your Tax Coach was born.
Wow. What was the inspiration for that? Did you just like quit one day and you started this business? Like, what was that? I know that didn't probably just happen, but what was the process for you of starting a company and like diving into the social media world and stuff?
So when I was working at my last firm that I was working at, I, on my personal Instagram, was already posting kind of just like what I'm doing with taxes. Cause we were saving people money in taxes at that last firm as well. And so I kind of had like a little taste of it because I would just post some things on stories and all my friends would be like, oh, that's so cool. Like I've never heard of accountants doing any of that. So it was kind of already like a bug in my ear of, okay, social media with accounting is kind of like people love it. And then I remember it was like around Christmas time of 2019 and the firm I was working at, they got the largest check they'd ever received from a client. And it was because I had saved them millions of dollars in taxes. And so I was like, sweet, I'm going to get like a Christmas bonus. Right. And ended up not, and just getting an email from the partner saying, you get to beat that next year. Not even a thank you, like nothing.
Oh shit. No.
So I was crying to my husband, and he was like, well, babe, like, what if that client was your client? How much would they have paid you? And I'm like, well,
Light
I
bulb.
guess the same. Right. And he's like, so why don't you just start your own? And I was like, I literally had never thought about it before. And I remember we were driving across country because we were moving at the time from North Carolina to Arizona. And I was like, what a perfect time. We're like moving. It's like new state, might as well. And so 1/1/2020, your tax coach.
Wow. So that's crazy. Right
Yeah.
before the world shut down.
Yes.
That is like perfect timing probably as well.
Yeah.
And what have the last 2 years looked like for you? Like how crazy of a different world do you live in now than when you were working probably 12, 16-hour days during tax season versus now?
Oh gosh. I mean, entrepreneurship's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So we still work that much.
Yeah.
But it's at least like we love our clients, and so it makes it a lot more worth it. Plus, like you have a flexible schedule, like, you just work around like the kids and life and trips and all of that. And so, now we have like 20 full-time employees. It's wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they all around the country, or are they just, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Congrats on all your success. And then in such like a relatively short period of time.
Yeah. It was nuts.
That's incredible. So I want to talk about like, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this. And I think that's why I really wanted to have you on, because you're so niche with like deductions and all of that stuff. And some people, including myself, I'm guilty as charged. In 2019, I got a nice little audit because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have an accountant. So that's like first tip is hire an accountant. But can you talk about like, let's dive into like, why get an accountant if you have a business, especially like an online business, whatever it may be. And then we can kind of dive into like different nuances of like deductions and the benefits of having your own business from a tax perspective and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I always get the question of like, when should someone get an accountant when they have a business? And I mean, I guess I'm a little biased, right? Because that's my company, but I always say like from the very beginning, because the way that you structure your business and the foundation of it is key to how you're going to be taxed and how much you're going to be taxed. And so I say from the very beginning, because we can structure it correctly. Sole proprietors pay the most in taxes. So do LLCs. And so really just like getting the structure right. And then since you already have an accountant that you're working with, then you can be like, well, how do I deduct this? How do I deduct that as you're going, instead of, next year in April when you're rushing to file your tax return and you're trying to like go back 16 months and being like, well, I don't remember what this expense was. Right. And so you're missing expenses and then you're paying more in taxes again. So like finding someone that can structure you correctly, that you can communicate with really, really well and can answer your questions. And someone too, that's not just going to tell you no all the time. Like taxes and accounting should not be something that like you're afraid of, that you're scared of, that you're shameful of. There's so many ways to make things deductions, but accountants tend to just say, no, you can't do that, just because like they don't want the liability of it or they don't want to do their research. And so try to find someone that's not telling you no all the time.
I love that. What are some, I guess, tax deduction tips? Because so some people who are listening to this might be brand new and they might not even know that they have the opportunity to like take things that they're buying on a daily basis and deduct them from their taxes. So talk about like basics of deductions.
Yeah. So let's say you're like an online entrepreneur, service-based business. I mean, really, I guess it goes for anyone, but I'm just trying to like think of one thought process I can go down. So any technology that you're using, right? And even if you had this stuff before you started your business, you can contribute it to your business and take a deduction. So like the cost of your computer, your printer, your cell phone, the case on your cell phone, the chargers, the little, like, I don't know, selfie thingy that you put on the back so you can hold your phone. I don't have one of those.
Me either. I took mine off.
Yeah. So like mics, if you have a mic or a ring light, or just think of anything technology related. If maybe you get a camera, a video camera, things like that for social media. But then also things like subscriptions. So many of us pay for so many subscriptions all the time. And so really going into your, like if you have an iPhone, go into your settings and see everything you subscribe to every month and be like, do I use that at all for business? So like Canva, right? To make things look pretty.
Yeah.
Or even YouTube Premium, because maybe you watch people's videos on how to do whatever you're doing in your business. Like I watch a lot of tax and finance ones. So YouTube Premium, or even Netflix and Hulu. If you're watching that stuff while you're working, it's no different than like if you have a dental office, right? You walk in the lobby and they're probably playing some sort of show in the lobby, or even in the break room, things like that. So same thing, even though you're a home-based business, you know? So there's so many things, and just the key is like, anytime you buy something, how can I tie it to my business?
Yes.
Right?
Well, talk about like, because I've heard different opinions on like clothing for photo shoots, and like some accountants say like no go, some accountants say yes, but people who are building a business online, maybe they're like in network marketing, or they have a coaching business, like do those kinds of things also count as deductions?
So I'll say like aesthetics things, the IRS will question more closely, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't deduct it. The thing with like social media, and especially like influencers, because it's such a quote unquote new thing, even though it's been around like 15 years at this point.
It's new to the IRS.
Yeah, it's new to the IRS, and there's no case law on it, which is like what we lean on as accountants is like, how have cases gone that are similar to this? And there are none. But what I can say is like for clothing, for example, there's a few ways that you can deduct clothing. So try to fit in those facts, which is one is your logo on it, which a majority of us, we're not going to put our logo on every single thing we wear, but maybe like construction clients or something, because they're walking around, you know, with their polos on with their logo.
Their uniform.
Yeah. So that one's kind of like less common to lean on. Another option is if you can say you bought something solely for photo shoot modeling purposes. And so, you know, keep your receipt, document it, make sure that you use it for a photo shoot and for modeling purposes. Some of our clients even have like sections in their closet or trunks that is like for photo shoot use only. And so you could deduct it
really
that way. Yeah. Or even turn it into like an advertising expense. Like maybe you're doing a speech, and so you have to have a particular outfit for that speech. And so it's really like with any deductions, it's like document it, make sure you have a business reason, and could you back it up if anyone questioned it? And I feel like even though everyone scrutinizes clothing, it is very much like, well, I needed this for this event. And
half the shit I buy, I would not buy if I didn't have a business.
Yeah. Right. So
that's really good. Okay. So that actually was really helpful for me personally. I appreciate that. Was a selfish question, but now I want to ask about, like you said, sole proprietors and LLCs pay the most on taxes. How does someone know when they need to incorporate their business?
Good question. And this is also one where there's no like line in the sand of, okay, now I hit this number, let's switch over. There's so many factors in it, but I can say, so the reason why sole proprietors and LLCs pay the most in taxes is because you're going to have federal tax, you're going to have state tax. Everyone does, unless you're in a state that doesn't have tax. But the silent killer, I call it, is self-employment taxes. And on your tax return, they hide it under a thing called other taxes. So when you pay your taxes, it's just like there's a total tax number and you're like, I don't really know how they got there, but whatever. But it's hidden in the other tax line and it's 15.3% on top of your federal tax rate. So even if you're in like the 22% tax bracket, now you're in the 37% because of self-employment tax.
Wow.
And so if you can switch to like say an S corporation, you can get out of most of that self-employment tax, not all of it, because you're going to have to pay some in payroll taxes, which is same, they just call it something different. Or if you switch to a C corporation, you could just pay 21% is the corporate tax rate right now. But there's something called double taxation with C corps, where if you take extra funds out, it's another 20%. So
wow.
It gets a little tricky. So a lot of people, they just go about their business and then they're like, okay, now I'm going to switch to an S corp because I saw on TikTok that I'm going to save money, right? But there's more rules involved. So be careful. Like you have to be on payroll. You have to have a board of directors and you need to have a board meeting quarterly or annually. And sometimes S corps just aren't the best structure depending on what you do and what your business is, how much money you take out of your business, if you have loans to and from the shareholders, if you want to sell your business. So there's like a lot of other factors that go into it. Don't just listen to the TikTok accountant.
Yeah, please. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. How much would be like, maybe, let's say someone's brand new in their business or maybe a couple years in, is there like a certain amount of money you recommend that they are making before they incorporate their business?
Well, I always tell clients maybe at like the 40K profit, not revenue, but what your profit is, you can think about switching to an S corp and see if that makes sense to you, because at that point, the math kind of makes sense. So if you think 40,000, you're paying an extra 15%, that's an extra 6,000 in taxes. So that 6,000 savings, when I switch to an S corp, I now have to pay more to my accountant because it's another tax return. I have to pay a payroll company every month to run payroll. So right about the 40K mark is where like the cost benefit analysis evens out.
That makes a lot of sense.
Makes
a lot of sense. Okay, this is literally so helpful. I love this so much. You're just, I love how down to earth you are. You're just such a real
thank you.
person. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. So what would be kind of some things for people to look out for? Because I know when I was looking for an accountant in 2019, I was like, I don't know who's trying to rip me off. I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know what questions to ask. Like, if you were brand new in business and you're a couple years in and you're needing to get an accountant, and maybe even talk about like the people who are justifying why they don't need an accountant as well. But like, let's say someone's starting to make that decision and they're looking for someone, what are the questions to ask? How much should people be getting charged to get their taxes done each year? Those kinds of things.
Yeah. So first would be the people that are thinking they don't need an accountant. I will say, like, whenever we get a new client who's been filing their taxes themselves, I have one right now that I'm working on. She's literally overpaid her taxes just in the last 3 years, $180,000. So it's like, please don't try
do this again.
Yeah. Like, don't do this yourself. I promise you, even though paying an accountant is like annoying, it's worth their weight in gold because they should save you way more in taxes than what their fees are. Now, do they? In reality, does everyone? No, because there's a lot of bad accountants out there.
Yeah.
But to the point of like how to pick an accountant and who you should work with, first, I would say, like, who do you mesh with personality wise? Because like your accountant should be in your like close circle of advisors, right? All the surveys out there say like accountants are worth more than your attorney and more than any other like trusted advisor in your business. So make sure it's someone like you want to talk with, that's easy to talk with, is not going to make you feel guilty or shameful for doing things wrong, right? Everyone's a busy entrepreneur. Nobody's perfect. right? That's like, I tell people like, I don't do social media. Like I have a social media person because I hate social media stuff, but it like looks great because I hire it out, you know? Same with accounting. Like you don't need to be good in accounting. That's not your business. Hire it out. Right. So someone you can mesh with, someone that's not going to make you feel guilty or shameful. And please, please, please don't just use like your mom's uncle's friend that they've been using for like 80 years and they're really old and they know nothing about business today. Would be my other.
I think that's a really important point, is like, get somebody who understands your business model as well. Because I've worked with people in the past that like don't understand the industry of like social media and that whole world, that it is a business, and then they're not able to represent you well, and they're not, if you need them to represent you, they're not able to understand all the nuances of your business. So I think that's where you're such a valuable asset to so many people in this space, because not a lot of people are doing what you're doing, and you're providing a service and you understand what people in the social media world can and cannot deduct and what they should and should not be doing.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. What would be, yeah, of course. What would be your top like budgeting tips for entrepreneurs? So like how much to save for taxes, how much to save for themselves, what to pay themselves, what to reinvest into their business, all the things.
Ooh, good one. So I would say for saving for taxes, save at least 25% of your profit. And that's important because sometimes people just save it based on what's coming in. And that's fine because you'll oversave. But really try to figure out your profit, and it kind of forces you to figure that out. And that's like, everyone always asks me too, what's like the number one tax tip? And my answer has nothing to do with taxes, but it's like, have really good books and know what your profit is, because you can't plan anything unless you know your profit. But I digress.
That's really good.
But so save 25% of your profit, because even if you're at like the 20% federal mark, you're going to have some state taxes, plus you have your self-employment tax. So please save it as you go along. So every month, figure out your profit, put that amount into a savings account, because let me tell you, I've seen thousands of businesses, and taxes are the number one reason that will shut down a business. Because if you can't pay your taxes and you start to get behind, that like amount that you're behind is going to just keep spiraling because of interest, penalties, year after year. Like it will close your business down so fast. Wow. Especially payroll taxes. Like do not get behind on payroll taxes or sales tax. So yes, save every month for your taxes, and then, but also get a tax strategist that's going to help you lower your taxes there. And then in terms of like investing back into your business, I kind of have the mindset of like, there shouldn't really be a budget for that. Like, at least in my business, what helped us grow so quickly were all of the coaches that we had, the mastermind groups we joined, the networking that we did. And that stuff is expensive. But you're paying to be in the room with the people that you want to work with. So it's like completely worth it. Some I've seen like business coaches say, you know, only 10% should be invested back into masterminds and coaches. But it's like, if you're making money in those rooms, there shouldn't be a budget.
Putting yourself
in there. It's like Facebook ads, right? Don't pay for them if they're not working, but if you're paying $100 and making 500, like just keep doing it.
It's the same thing with an accountant, right? Like, yeah, you have to pay for it, but it's saving you so much more than what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Which is huge. That's huge. Go back to what you were saying when you digressed. I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, number one tax tip.
Yeah.
So yeah, people always ask like, what's the number one thing that I can do to save in taxes? I'm like, clean up your freaking books. Like, know exactly where your money is coming in from, how much per month. Can you run projections? Can you see, okay, last August I did this. What did I do this August? What am I going to do next August or next quarter? And what are your expenses? are you forgetting things? Are there things you can add into there? Are there certain cost of goods that's like way too high and you should, try to find a cheaper way to do it? Like, knowing your numbers is so, so key. And same with accountants. There's so many bad bookkeepers out there as well.
Yeah.
So be careful and like, don't like pinch pennies with a bookkeeper. Like, good ones are expensive, but again, they're going to find you all your deductions. They're going to make sure your books are correct and numbers that you can use in your business that will actually help you scale.
I love that. What, for maybe people who are just getting started or they don't have an accountant yet, what kind of bookkeeping app do you recommend for people to use? QuickBooks? What tracker do you recommend?
I actually don't recommend one if you're starting out. I think a spreadsheet is best if it's just you and like you don't have tons and tons of transactions. I think it's a really good practice. One, to just get comfortable with spreadsheets, because like the word spreadsheets just like turns everyone off. But so get good with Excel, and then you can actually like see and feel every transaction in your business. So you have such a pulse on it that you can adjust as needed. And the apps out there, 100% of the time, they're incorrect if you're doing them yourself. So I don't like when people are using like they're like, yeah, I have QuickBooks. I just do it myself. Like, I'm not joking, 100% of the time that you're doing it yourself, they're wrong. So it's like, just use a spreadsheet. Then you're not paying for like another app or whatever. But once you get to the point where you're like, I can't keep up with these transactions, or maybe now you need a balance sheet because you're an S Corp or C Corp, they're required, balance sheets are required, then get a bookkeeper.
Okay. That's really good. Really good advice. Okay.
Yeah.
And how can, I feel like I've like beat around the bush with this. Where can people get started to work with you? Because I'm like, I think everyone should probably go work with you at this point. You just are, when you say like get along with your accountant, I resonate with that so much. It's like, if you don't like mesh with your accountant, especially if you're in certain situations, like you work with them a lot and you want to really get along with the person you're working with that much. And I think a lot of people listening will probably resonate really heavily with you. So how can people work with you? Can they get like free resources with you? Anything like that?
Yeah, I would say most of the time we hang out on Instagram. So find us at Your Tax Coach and just send us a DM. And it's me in the DM. So I'll always be responding. And I can kind of like lead you in the right direction if you're needing some sort of like freebie or a master class or something. We have so many. It's kind of like, just DM me and I'll let you know what you need. Or if you just want to go to our website, it's yourtaxcoach.biz, biz. And our podcast too.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
I launched a podcast this summer called Life Changing Money. So
what do you talk about there? I saw you have so many amazing interviews on there.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, back to like paying for mastermind groups, right? You're like paying to have all these cool people as friends, but 100%. Now they're friends in real life. So it's okay.
Which is even better.
But yeah, the podcast is about entrepreneur stories of life-changing money, right? Like, what does life-changing money mean to them and how they got there and what kind of advice they would give to others. And it's funny because the overarching theme is like, it's not about the money. When you do get the money, it's not about the money.
It's the thing is never the thing. I always say that the money is never the thing. It's the thing beneath it. That's really powerful. And I think such an important message, especially coming from an accountant. That's like such a powerful message. What is next for you and your business and your life? Like, what are you the most excited about? Because I know you just provided so much value, and I'm like, I want to bring it back to you because you're incredible.
Thank you. Good question. So it's been on my to-do list forever, but I need to write a book or 2 or 3. I have so many ideas. So writing a book is going to be my next big project. Relaunching our course. We have like our big flagship course called Write Off Your Life. It teaches entrepreneurs how to write off their life with like seemingly personal expenses, how to turn them into business expenses. So we're relaunching that. We're rebranding everything. So that is coming soon. Cool. We're like so close to being done. But it's like so sleek and luxurious, and I'm so excited for that.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. And I don't know, just keep taking over the world with changing people's lives and saving them money.
Well, you really are. Even just hearing how recently you really like officially started your business and how many employees you have and how you've grown this, like, I mean, I can see why now just after talking to you. You're so incredible and you have such a good energy and demeanor, and you're providing a lot of value for a lot of people, and it's
Thank you.
being rewarded and given back to you.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. But thank you so much. Do you have anything else that you want to share? Anything that you feel like I didn't even cover about like them? I might not even know to ask. Are there any questions like that?
Oh, just keep track of your stuff throughout the year. Don't get behind, and like, don't feel shameful about reaching out to someone and being like, hey, I don't know anything about anything, or I need to get caught up. Like, get rid of the shame and guilt.
Mm, I think that's great advice. And what I will say is I'm that person. For so long, I just like avoided and I pushed it off and I didn't want to look at it. And I did, but it's the least favorite activity of mine to do is like look at the numbers and look at the money. But I feel like once you start, it's so powerful and liberating, and it actually gives you a sense of where your business is at and where it can go. And if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you can go.
Yes.
So, Barbara, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you greatly. And this was so incredible.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys later.